also be poised to change that narrative.
And the big, kind of not really curse, but the big problem, the big concern looming over their shoulders is once again that 0-4 loss to Element Mystic wasn't competitive enough against Stohar's Sombra, and you've got Hacker Sombra, who is probably just as good, very, very good, if not just slightly off.
So, coming out first, City Center. What's the deal?
Straight on the high ground for O2 Blast. It's going to actually be the Sombra on both sides.
Yeah.
Krong is going to run that one too.
So this is interesting from O2 Blast. They don't just want to run a straight 3-3, and I think that is the correct call here as well. Does mean we'll have to see how well Krong can match up against Hacker.
So this is now where, for Lingang Esports, looking for their first opening point, does unlock. Myeongbong is already hacked out.
That's a bit of a something. Lingang Esports Huya, mouthful of a name. They are the ones set up on the points. It's on O2 Blast to dislodge them.
Hey, look at the ult charge for both Sombra as well, pretty even at the moment, and what's really going to happen is, well, O2 Blast only have one real support ultimate, so once EMP's really into play, that could be a factor.
Sleep on Piggy, followed by a hack on some mollies, so that could be an opening, at least in terms of O2 Blast getting aggressive, and they are pushing in. Good translocate out, Hacker's going to be just fine, is now stripping ahead of Krong in terms of ult charge.
And there's no sound barrier yet. Myeongbong is probably going to get a nano boost, not going to be too helpful, really looking at LGE now to really pull the trigger.
Might just have to wait for the translocator. There he goes, straight on in, throws it out, only finds Proper. That's not the target you want. Myeongbong has himself a nano boost, going to commit it out. Kaiser's hacked and very low, will end up going down before he can use that Earth Shatter. So in the end, LGE.Huya are actually looking like they'll cap this point and win this fight. It's not over yet, though. O2 Blast could just come back in, rally both in the literal sense and in the strategic sense.
Let's take a look at the ultimates again. Krong's going to use his one, and Proper's still into play.
That's a much better connection as well, but slightly worse follow-up, at least thus far. LGE.Huya at least got one kill, and now with themselves throwing out a grab, Proper not getting the same mileage. So when they're trading ultimate for ultimate, it is LGE.Huya landing the heavier blows. Even Kaiser going down to his counterpart in JMac, and that is going to be LGE.Huya finally securing the point.
And this was after Kaiser actually charged him into a wall. This was JMac having his Earth Shatter cancelled out by Kaiser. O2 Blast is still kind of behind here. That was only one extended fight. We've only just capped out the point.
Now they just want to get themselves set up, ideally, for this next fight. Again, Hacker leading his counterpart in ult charge. This time it's a little bit tighter, but you see that repeated through most of these picks here. Piggy far ahead of Proper.
And what's really interesting is, despite Hacker not really getting a lot of targets, he only got one right. They actually still eventually win the fight out. Samurai hack straight on to Mandu, knows there's a sound barrier available, trying to farm up the EMP.
Pelican, he probably knew he wasn't really going to get it, but you're going to go for it anyway. Now Hacker with an EMP going to be available in a split second. Finds a hack on his counterpart as well.
This could be good.
They're looking for the in. Myeongbong's already gone ahead and committed.
By the way,
boost, trying to get some work done with Kaiser.
Molly does actually have a Transcendence as well, so if Krong wants to go in after he respawns, and that's going to be an if, because O2 Blast need members. They look like they're backing out.
I mean, they kind of have to there. They lose the member, they committed the nano boost onto Kaiser, try and get some kills, didn't get anything, and at this point, LGE.Huya are just happy to sit pretty, charge up ultimates, and pick out one by one.
Now they're really starting to get away with the actual percentage point on the cap itself, 60 and counting, nearly at 70 now. O2 Blast, they have some ultimates to play with. Mandu's going to be the key player to really counteract with the sound barrier once Hacker actually goes in, but it's kind of Sombra chicken right now. Who's going to go?
Ooh, does find Molly, receives some healing. Krong is going to go ahead and commit first, partially out of necessity. Hacker's also committed in, and that's a much better EMP from Hacker. 1-for-1 though, JMac going down could be very, very rough, especially with the shadow that comes out from Kaiser, able to commit and connect. Proper does go down though. They would have really liked to rotate into that grab if things got hairy, and they are indeed getting hairy. Piggy finding a bunch on the way out, as low as he may be. Piggy able to frag out.
And this is where LGE, they're probably going to cap out here. They're probably going to win this one. Kaiser has only just respawned.
100-0. Krong going to get some boots on the ground, extend the overtime, but best case scenario is 5 versus 6. And that's even if they get on the point, which they will not. Proper tosses the grab out. Doesn't really matter.
And let's look at the other factor here. We look at Kaiser as one of the key members of O2 Blast. He actually lands a pretty decent Earth Shatter. It's actually not enough at the end of the day. It's not enough to get O2 Blast a cap win. I don't think they got a single percentage point there. 100-0 from LGE from start to finish. Now, was it competitive? Certainly was. But for the side of O2 Blast, kind of silent from them. Didn't see too much had some decent fights, couldn't get their feet on top of the point, couldn't even win in situations when Hacker kind of whiffed an EMP too.
I mean, I would say quote-unquote competitive, right? Because we've also got to look at the fact that oftentimes when both teams were committing the same ultimate, it was LGE.Huya getting a little bit more done with it and ultimately winning those fights.
And I do like the composition from LGE just slightly more because they have the Zen. Now, if you are playing Myeongbong on the Ana, you can outplay, you can have some really good moments, but once EMPs are in play, you're not doing too much.
Time for standard 3-3 from O2 Blast. This is what well, I'd say standard. It's still no Zenyatta, but they do value the Ana here on Myeongbong. Let's see if this can deal with LGE.Huya.
Well, I like the pacing from O2 Blast so far because they're getting quite aggressive quite early. They don't want to give Hacker and the rest of LGE time to set up. As the point does unlock, this is now going to be a ticking time bomb for LGE to get in.
A ticking blast, as it were, and this is exactly what they've been so good at doing against Sombra Goats. They get more aggressive. They're able to not allow the Sombra space to play with.
Looking at Hacker, 50% and counting up. O2 Blast getting their own ultimates in there. It's going to be the Nano Boost first, likely going to be on Kaiser.
And Kaiser also ahead in terms of that Earth Shatter charge, but that's also all not accounting for Hacker. Still a little bit away from the EMP, but it's not far enough off that you'd be concerned. That's going to be Molly committing a Transcendence. They were worried about that sleep that was landed, so O2 Blast happy to take that ultimate off the side of LGE.Huya.
And now setting up for the Shadows, does get spotted out. Kaiser in a little bit of trouble maybe. Where is Hacker though? We need to see this EMP up there. We're already nearly 40% charged up.
It's taken so long for him to finish it off. Now they're all caught in a grab.
Down.
He's going to go down, the first casualty of that ultimate. O2 Blast having no trouble so far.
I'm talking about 40% charged up. What I really mean is on the point itself, charged up for O2
charged
Blast.
up to victory.
That's the thing, right? They only need 100. We're nearly at 50 now. And for Lingan Esports, they've only had basically one fight. Took a while to get this EMP into play. Hal still hasn't really used it. Kaiser stays alive at the end of the day as well. And for O2 Blast, looking fairly comfortable.
EMP is finally going to be able to be committed for this next fight. So now we've got to see how O2 Blast will answer it. Back on Mandu, he might go down.
That's huge.
That's a great pick on the side because that was also the sound barrier. The only thing O2 Blast really has to counter the EMP with. And that's to say nothing of all these picks that they're getting. Where did all that come from?
Well, I'll tell you
Where
what,
was that last fight?
Well, this is the thing, because O2 Blast are now setting up versus EMP. They know it's available. Mandu's off to the side because he's the only one with a proper counter to the EMP. There's no Transcendence. As a reminder, they're using Sound Barrier here. So Hacker says, I'm going to look for this guy. I will solo kill him. I will hack him out, and then we can win.
And there we go. This time it's going to be the EMP committed. A super clean one as well. This is what we were expecting them to use last fight to get control of the point. Instead, they get to use it to extend their time on the point.
And this is where O2 Blast, that was a big loss from them. A lot of ult charge given to LGE, who finally do get some decent amount of progress on the point itself. O2 Blast still in the game. They have nearly 6 ults. They kind of only need to win 1 here, and then get towards 80. They'll probably be an overtime scuffle, but for O2 Blast, if they can win off this ult advantage, they'd be looking pretty good.
And you'd like to think they should as well. They won in that early fight, the neutral fight, with no ultimates being a factor until Molly gave them a freebie. There's the commitment. It's going to be Transcendence to try answer the grab here. Good charge out. Can they get some kills? Yes, they can. J-Mac and Piggy down and out for the counters. O2 Blast off to the hot start they need, getting the mileage out of those ultimates they committed, and also taking a few more off the board for LGE.Huya.
And this is where Myeongbong on the Ana really makes sense as well, because they drop the Graviton Surgeon, drop the Bionade. It catches J-Mac specifically. As soon as he goes down, guess what? They're open to a self-destruct play coming through from O2 Blast, collecting a lot of members as Carroll. He collects at least 1 member. That puts O2 Blast ahead. That puts him in a winning position.
And this could be it. Will Kaiser get the cheeky play? He oh no, that's asleep. Okay. Whew. Now he gets the shatter. J-Mac straight back on his back.
Straight back asleep.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's a much more violent sleep this time around as he is dead. Going to get onto the point now. 5 versus 6. Nano boost on Kaiser because they want to keep a lid on these members trying to pile on in now. Oh man, could you believe that? Kami eating some sleeps there. No one's having a great time right now on the side of LGE.Huya. Finally, they will pick up a few more members. The form of Linsa. Hacker as well is trying to stay in at the EMP. Got nothing done. Molly just barely in the nick of time, but they are not on the point. O2 Blast going to even it up.
And the grab coming through right towards the end there just to make sure no one can actually touch in time. And I want to highlight Hacker so far because his actual hack targets, his manual hack targets, have been fantastic. He knows who's got ult when, and he's going to hack those specific targets who have the ultimate that you want to be able to counter out. This is one of the few things that he himself and other people say he's very good at. When you compare Hacker and Doa, Doa charges the EMP faster, but Hacker in his own words says he does everything else better.
I dare say there's some truth to that. Now, 1-1. O2 Blast not just going to roll over easily. They want to keep this competitive. It has been so far. They're wanting to stick on that 3-3 as well here.
It would have been a lot more competitive if LGE had a better start on University. You saw what happened once they started to get the ball rolling. Get the ball rolling a little bit too late, though, and it's not going to make it to the end of the hill. So getting on the right foot right off the bat, very important for the team.
All right, O2 Blast. Last time they were able to win that neutral fight by just kind of powering through, not letting Hacker take his time and get set up. This has been a little bit of a slower passage of play, though, so will they have the same success?
O2 Blast already on the point, technically, already on the high ground, kind of forcing LGE's hand.
Whoa! Huge find there, and with the stun as well from the Brigitte. Hacker cannot survive. That's the cap for O2 Blast.
Instantly, LGE back out of that one. They know with their key player gone, there's no way they walk in, and that's the easiest cap of O2's gameplay so far.
That was so sick.
And this is where now they get another opening pick, and it's probably over again.
Yeah, I mean, LGE.Huya, just, again, they find themselves backing out. If anything, they were still backing out from the last one. They just thought maybe it was safe to reapproach, and, well, they were wrong.
And we talk about LGE needing to start on the right foot here. They kind of need this opening, get themselves on the point. They're trying to push in now where Hacker's already gone down once. He's at 40%. He doesn't have much ult charge to work with. Yeah. LGE kind of just have to dry push in.
O2 Blast have plenty of ult charge to work with. Haven't quite got any ultimates themselves available, but will be soon, certainly before LGE.Huya have much available, with the exception of Molly here, who is very close to Transcendence.
And that's the silver lining, because now he can counter at least a Graviton Surge from Proper, who's probably leading the way kind of for O2 Blast, but there's a few others on the O2 Blast side.
I mean, him and Kaiser are keeping pace with each other, and now Myunbong going to commit the first ultimate of this fight in the form of the Nano Boost.
That's a Boostio.
Yep.
Well, hey, that's one ultimate off the table.
Okay, you don't want to get too close to that. Let's see how it happens. Oh no, wait, this is the sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say, so see the boost.
I wanted to see that. All right, but anyway, that's Kaiser getting picked out. The EMP finally getting committed in from Hacker. And with that, suddenly O2 Blast, that ultimate advantage, they were starting to lead up. Look, it's writ large there. Proper committed, a Graviton Surge.
Even.
Molly committed, a Transcendence. And now O2 Blast starting to lose member after member after member off the back of Hacker's EMP. This should be the grab finally coming through for LGE.Huya.
And if O2 Blast kind of extend the fight a little bit longer, Kaiser comes back with the Shatter. Maybe there's a play to be made there. You also see the side of Lingon Esports still holding on to Piggy's Graviton Surge. Very key ultimate, especially when you're waiting to charge up the next EMP. But we're back in a scenario similar to University, where O2 Blast already have a very decent control point lead, 77%, and LGE kind of just starting out.
They've got a lot to work with here. O2 Blast also not far off 1-5 territory. If they can get a good Shatter, if they can get a good anything really, then it could just completely flip it on its head. It's going to be Shatter up from J-Mac. Grab as well committed in. Self-destruct from Krog to try and cut off any damage, but it's still enough to find Kaiser, and that does mean no Shatter will be available here for the side of O2 Blast. They know a loss when they see one. The rest of the team is going to back out.
That's another huge pick. Once again, Kaiser going down means no Earth Shatter, which means for 2 fights in a row, he's just been kind of holding on to the Earth Shatter, really no chance to use it. J-Mac's not been too successful overall, but he's at least in the couple of last fights, the recent ones, staying alive, allowing now the EMP to come back into play. The Graviton Surge used successfully overall to now rotate back into their next key ultimate.
O2 Blast coming back in with a few, though. They did get a lot of ultimates out from LGE.Huya in that fight, and that's the saving grace. But Mandu hacked
another
out.
solo kill?
Ooh, he barely slips out of that one. Stun, though, onto Hacker. He's going to translocate out as the grab comes in on top of the rest of his team. Commits the EMP, but only finds Krong. That is far too little value. J-Mac as well getting battered about here. Sound barrier committed on the side of LGE.Huya to keep the team in the mix, and it does take out Kaiser and Pelican. This could be the final one as well. O2 Blast might get one more shot after this, but this got off to a decent start, and they still couldn't find the kills.
Unbelievable. How many times is Hacker going to get away with this? He gets a one-man EMP. LGE still win. O2 Blast is not enough for them. What will be enough?
95% O2 Blast. What can they muster for this fight? Because they aren't close to anything except the self-destruct and a rally. And that's with J-Mac with a Shatter available. Piggy nearly with a grab.
That's because probably the final fight here. Grab and Shatter super important for the side man who does not have an ultimate available.
Shatter's out from J-Mac, gets bumped about, so it goes into Pelican's shield. That doesn't get any value. Can Piggy get some instead? They find Proper, that's big. He was coming up close to a grab of his own, but they find J-Mac. That's the counter kill. if they can unlock Kaiser here, and he's nearly got a shatter, they could land that one down. They could still turn this fight around. EMP from Hacker again, not huge connection, but it's enough to find Krong. He gets bumped over the edge, but can they get it? They've unlocked Kaiser. Can he get the kills with that? No! Oh, Let's amazing! Hacker, not enough in his own right, but the rest of the team more than happy to pull the team through. O2 Blast struggling at the last moment here. LGE.Huya going to get the first map of the series.
And you gotta start feeling bad for players like J-Mac and Kaiser, especially for Kaiser just bullied out of that game right towards the end there. Watch the last 10 seconds. What happened was he got stunned up, then he got EMP'd, then he got manual hacked, and then he died. At no point was he allowed to use any abilities. At no point was he allowed to use that ultimate, that Earth Shatter, that he just doesn't put out there. Doesn't have a chance to put out there. Not going to be happy with that one.
And look at the end of that fight as well. That was the situation that is usually an O2 Blast highlight reel. That was, enemy Reinhardt's dead. We've got a nano boost out onto Kaiser. He's got an Earth Shatter available, and he was swinging the hammer. It looked like it was finally going to turn around for O2 Blast, and suddenly Lenser just bumps tank after tank off the edge, and the fight completely flips on its head.
I reiterate the pre-show, the pre-game talk about this, which is to say that O2 Blast struggled against EM's specific Sombra and then Doofus composition, and you're seeing stuff like this just goes off the edge. This was actually that final fight. He was hacked out. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see again, once Hacker really starts to get going, O2 Blast don't seem to have the answer. And the most concerning part is, even when Hacker whiffs an EMP big time, that's not a big enough window for O2 Blast to really capitalize on.
And like you said, and like he said himself, it's because partially he gets so much more value out of the rest of Sombra's kit. Look, you'd like to get the full gamut with the EMP, but it's more than enough to not get that when you're Hacker.
That's a huge first map win for Lingun Esports. We'll see if they can continue that trend when we come back from this break. Welcome back everyone to the Pacific Showdown here in match number 4. We got a 1-0 lead for Lingun Esports Huya up against O2 Blast, and this is always going to be a match where we kind of felt like LGE were the kind of higher rated team in here. O2 Blast maybe struggling in the matchup, starting to show now.
It also felt like a matchup where, in spite of that, it really could go either way. You almost would have said the opposite of the previous matchup, and that ended up being a 3-1. This one we felt maybe could go either way. Certainly LGE.Huya favored, but off to a really hot start here, and it seems like O2 Blast's usual approach to this sort of matchup has not served them as well as it had for most of their time in their home region.
So I'll say this much. On Oasis specifically, on Control, we'll start with there. On Control, in general, it's going to be better for a DPS Sombra composition. When you get to the specific rounds of Oasis, University typically has been the more difficult one for Sombra to get a lot of value. We did see that. We did see them kind of struggle. We did see O2 Blast get them back there. O2 Blast get the lead, get that round win. But outside of it, status quo. Everything is still normal. Going into further maps, now that we're outside of Control, I think O2 Blast have a better chance of coming back in.
And they also get to pick our next map as well. So
Kings Row, right?
Kings Row, yeah. They get to pick, but really they don't. You have to take Kings Row. That's the rule. But in all seriousness, yeah, you're dead right. Like, as soon as you move away from Control, that asymmetry isn't... It doesn't behave the way that it normally does. And again, O2 Blast's entire approach to dealing with Sombra Goats, they did pull out a Sombra Goats on the very first map of Oasis there, but realistically they go, we're just going to play 3-3, but even more aggressive to not allow your Sombra the time to do what she wants to do.
And map geometry is going to be important for that, right? Which is why Oasis, a lot more of a flat map. You don't have gigantic you know, high ground advantages for the Sombra players to really get, you know, the angles and the advantages, right? That's a big deal for Sombra gameplay. So going into now the other maps, like, while not necessarily, you know, the rest of the pool still has a decent mixture. Let's say we do go to Kings Row. Use that as the example. On both A and B, Hacker's going to have a good time. Sombra's going to be great. Get to see. That's probably when Hacker's going to struggle a little bit. That's where O2 Blast really going to dig in and get something done. I do also expect Krong as the kind of flexible player, he's literally the flex tank player, to kind of go back onto maybe his own Sombra. That's an if, that's a big maybe. But more typically, Hanzo has been their pick to counter the Sombra in their past matches in Contenders Korea. I would expect Krong to maybe try that again.
I mean, certainly I'd like to see it, but again, you know, when we're talking about other maps, the geometry is a big factor, and that's part of what can unlock Hanzo as well. Part of not playing it on control, I mean, there's other issues there with trying to field the Hanzo. I wouldn't be surprised if we do go to something like a Kings Row so that Hanzo is at least an option, if not absolutely played out the gate.
You just want to do some extra damage. You want to really take advantage of the fact that there is no D.Va, which is why we are seeing Ana being played a decent amount from the O2 side as well. That's been kind of 50-50 success, and I'll say the two sides of that coin, to reiterate, would be the fact that on one side you have Hacker dropping an EMP, you don't have a Transcendence to counter. That's bad. On the good side, it would be once you go offensive and you drop in a Bio Nade because there's no D.Va, you're going to win fights.
There's the man himself, Hacker.
He's got a
ponytail.
He's got that's the thing. He's got a ponytail. He's got the left of his head shaved as well, so he could probably he could probably pull off a Sombra cosplay if he really wanted to.
He is living in the cyberpunk future. He's ready.
This guy's been playing Sombra since release. He said he's been playing literally since release.
So he's playing Sombra since there was a Sombra to play.
The only time I've seen him not play Sombra was when I saw him in the practice room on Ash and Sin. I thought, that's weird. That shouldn't happen.
That feels wrong. But hey, look, it's Kings Row. That's what O2 Blast are picking. And look, again, I think this ticks all the boxes that we were talking about previously. First of all, it's still that kind of neutral ground. You can just test out those team compositions, make sure that, you know, 3-3 is maybe still the way to go here. It is just control that's kind of the bogey on that front. Also, there's the options of the Hanzo that they've used to shut out the Sombra. This feels like exactly what O2 Blast need right now.
We go back to the O2 versus Order matchup as well. We did see Kings Row specifically in there. We call this now potentially Kaiser's Row if he wins this one again. And that was a matchup where they just completely manhandled Order. Very aggressive plays, very decisive plays, deciding the tempo. All of that is going to be a factor again up against LGE.
Literally the German word for king. He's come to the right place. This is going to be O2 Blast again, just out on the 3-3. LGE.Huya on the Sombra Goats. And already O2 Blast just getting some progress on the point. LGE.Huya, they're really not getting the breathing room they need to set up to start forcing O2 Blast off the point and actually take a fight.
That's exactly correct, because you don't want to give the time away to Hacker. You don't want to give the time away to everyone else.
They do trade back at least by finding J-Mac and Kami, so they're really opening this one up here. Hacker trying to get some work done on the back line. He will finally open up the kill onto Myeonbong, but really the damage has been done. LGE.Huya are going to get forced off here. Indeed, Hacker's the only one to not die in among all that.
All right, that's going to be 88%. I think he actually did go down and see him respawn there, but for LGE now, full team is up and available. 90% on the EMP. Myeonbong does have the Transcendence, so not playing the Ana this time. That does mean they have defense at least versus that ability. I am concerned though, what if they can counter it out and somehow LGE, with the rest of the members, do still win? We saw that a lot on Oasis.
O2 Blast want to try to keep the momentum going. However, this is where their aggressive 3-3 could really start to shine if they can just keep moving forward, keep the momentum going. But there's an EMP. Nice timing from Myeonbong, though, on that Transcendence, so they've dealt with that ultimate for now. Let's see if they can continue pushing forward.
You got to look at Proper now, because he's got the Graviton Surge coming in. Molly does have the counter as well.
There's the commitment, and there's the counter as prescribed. J-Mac taking some heat, but it's going to be just fine. Kaiser, though, able to find the charge out on Kami, so again, they've opened the door, and the whole team immediately pushes up to get in behind Kaiser, make sure he's not left out in the cold. They find another couple of kills on J-Mac and Piggy, and O2 Blast keeping that momentum.
This time around, Kaiser's not getting bullied around. Proper's able to back him up as well, and Proper's beaming everyone down. This is very much reminding me of exactly what happened versus Order. It's kind of one-sided so far. It's been a decent push from O2, and we're now about to head into C with 5 minutes and 40 seconds.
I mean, it's an incredible pace, right? O2 Blast have effectively not lost a fight, and there's only really been 2 of them. arguably 2.5. At any rate now, LGE.Huya have really got to start making waves here. The grab out first. They're trying to get the damage in, but Proper sitting on the back line, keeping the shields up as necessary. Now starting to dish out some damage.
And this is where, even when Hacker does get the EMP, Myeongbong is available with his ultimate again. Mandu as well. So many members of O2 Blast just prepared for this one. Look at it, nearly 5.
LGE.Huya are not ahead in the macro game here. They do not have the right tools at the right time. O2 Blast, on the other hand, do. And thanks to that, the payload has continued its inexorable march. Hacker's already down. That's a nice charge out of the J-Max. Shatter from Kaiser. Wow. He does end up bumped down himself, but the connection there is so huge. Can they get more kills, though? Stun on Piggy allows them to convert that. J-Mac taking some heat, has to duck out to the side as Lenser is going to instead take the aggro, followed by Molly, and in the end you lose all those supports and you still lose J-Mac in the end.
And this is probably going to be a cap now. Hacker's got to get out there.
Almost
the rest of the esports need to be on the card.
Hacker will at least touch it to force some overtime, but I don't think that'll last long. They try and get the rest of the members out. Molly's down to a self-destruct. Lensu was killed as he touched it. Sure, Myeongbong dies, but who really cares? Victory lap for O2 Blast.
And you talk about the fact that A and B should have been where LGE are strongest, because we get to see Hacker's probably not going to have a great game there. It's not really the type of place where Sombra can really shine. O2 Blast get to see just as easy as A and B. We have a point on the map where LGE really dropped the ball early on, and they had not a lot of chances to play with back in the later parts of their map. And if they can't win when they're supposed to, then they're definitely not going to win when they're not meant to win.
And this is part of what we expected out of O2 Blast as well, just the unbound aggression from their 3-3. Well, like we say, it shuts you down. It doesn't give you the time to work with, especially if you're trying to set up a Sombra. Hacker got little to no value, and even the times he was able to get an EMP out, the tools to deal with it were already available for O2 Blast.
Straight away, just the first play out of O2 Blast directly onto the point. They know that if you have LGE come and contest them, it's not going to be a fair 6v6, probably more like a 6v5 while Hacker's setting up for a flanking position there. While they're on the point, the timer is ticking. I mean, LGE got to be the ones to contest. They got to be the ones to kind of stop this going on. You don't have enough charge rate on anybody yet. You don't have enough targets to go on, and suddenly LGE lose that cap, get snowballed onto B, get snowballed onto C, and we're already into the next half.
And that's with such a huge amount of time on the clock as well. Let's consider the world where LGE.Huya take us to time bank, which I don't think is an absurd proposition in its own right, but the time bank would still so massively favor O2 Blast, I can only imagine. 4.5 minutes. Let's see if LGE.Huya can even come close to matching that.
And on the defense, Myeongbong is going to go back onto the Ana. LGE going to play the greatest hit, same as usual. No changes just yet, but this is already going to be a position Hacker gets behind.
More than happy to take the wrap around. Let's see what O2 Blast chooses on the front line. That is decent. They're keeping the pressure on these tanks. And again, it just deprives Hacker of the time to take those long plays, get around the side. If you could just win what is a 5v6, even only temporarily, then you're in good standing.
Oh, that was actually nicely played by Pelican, just stunning away J-Mac because Kaiser was manual hacked.
Yeah.
It's going to give O2 Blast another breath to kind of walk back onto the point. One tick is still not yet taken.
Hacker is able to get himself a bit more set up now, though, and you see that in his ultimate starting to get charged. About 50% right now. Not enough for it to be a factor soon, but they're starting to get the mileage out of him that they need, and that's what O2 Blast usually shut down.
Let's take a look at the other timer here for LGE in their favor. Looking at Hacker and his ultimate charge rate, not quite as fast as Doha, but eventually should be looking at the EMP.
So much damage on Proper, by the way. He's had such a huge amount of charge, and that's the grab thanks to that. Trying to keep some members alive, charge out on J-Mac, but they don't quite finish it thanks to the timing of the EMP. Actually stops Kaiser mid-charge. Can they get kills off it though? Because Kami is the first casualty in the fight in spite of the EMP. And now suddenly O2 Blast not actually taking any other losses or any losses at all. In fact, LGE.Huya are the ones who have to back up and readdress.
And it's a game of speed, right? Because who can get the first ultimate and use it? And that was Proper. He got the Graviton Surge just before the EMP. O2 Blast going to try again. 4-man Biolade.
I mean, that's just going to force the tanks back. Kaiser with a classic there to cut off those retreating members. You will knock it out alive today. Krong self-destruct maybe not quite so necessary, but look, what's done is done, and that is an absolutely dominant fight win for O2 Blast.
You can imagine a scenario where Hacker gets in there first, stops Proper from using that the Graviton Surge, and then LGE's ahead. That's probably their fight to win now, but O2 Blast keep the tempo up on their side. Again, one tick, still not yet taken. LGE are losing a lot of time now, and they're far away from their next EMP.
Piggy does have a grab coming up though. This is an ultimate advantage for LGE.Huya by quite a big margin. Mandu really the only answer to anything LGE.Huya could throw at them right now.
And this is the weakest point for O2 Blast in terms of actual ultimate charge.
There's the sound barrier trying to answer. Good charge out. Pelican's going to go down, but O2 Blast certainly not out of this one yet. In fact, coming up on their own ultimates. Nano Boost plus the grab could be a lot of damage.
Grenade.
Huge Bionic Grenade again. Myeonbong 2 for 2 on those. Absolutely a key instrument in winning these fights.
And this is where, unfortunately, because we haven't seen enough EMPs, you don't really need the Transcendence as much as you would normally. The Bionades are doing so much work, and that's the win condition. You drop down the Graviton Surge, you layer in the Bionade, there's no Diva on the other side to defense matrix eat it, and Lingan Esports looking at their final attempt onto A. They finally do have another EMP, but they have barely enough time.
They are able to get some boots on the ground though, as O2 Blast did want to back up, maybe charge up some ultimates first. That's a good amount of connection. Can they finish off the kills? No, Hacker's down, Kami's down as well. They got Kaiser so low and didn't finish him off. That's even with one of the better EMPs we've seen out of Hacker. It's still not enough for LGE.Huya to actually start winning these fights. Now, 2 ticks have been picked up, but they're forced back off with less than 30 seconds to go.
Not only that, but that was with O2 Blast not having a proper defensive counterplay. There was, again, there's no Transcendence, there's no Zenyatta on the field. Mandu got hacked down, even if he wasn't. Guess what? There's no sound barrier either. O2 Blast just survived out of it through sheer force, through sheer mechanics of the players. Myeongbong picked up the kill. He's been playing so good.
Molly's got to keep the team in this. Huge stun on Hacker. He stays alive though. O2 Blast squaring up for it. That's a shatter out from Kaiser. They've already got the kills. The shatter, the grab, the nano boost for the extra damage. A massive shut out there for O2. Not only an incredible offense and a huge time bank, but a full hold on A as well.
It's 2 out of 2 wins for O2 Blast here. You certainly will start calling this Kaiser's row. He's not going to allow you to actually take a win in this particular map. They picked it, they won it, and now we're 1-1 apiece, and you start to look at LGE and you're shaking your head, shaking your fist, thinking, what's going on here? They look completely lost at multiple points.
As soon as O2 Blast get back into their groove of aggressive 3-3, suddenly they look like a completely different team.
And it's on both sides as well. I want to speak a little bit more to the LGE side in terms of how their attack went, how their defense went, both about as poorly as you can expect. Didn't win a single fight on defense, and technically, based on the fact that they didn't cap, didn't really win a single fight on offense either. This has just been a bit of a disaster all round for this entire map. We're at a 1-1 game now. Super competitive. Going to go for another break. When we come back, Pacific Showdown continues.